Log on to KBTX.com this Thursday for gift certificates from Pepper's Cocina.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know what your kids did today? Brian Marine reminds you that family fun starts with a new Bayliner Element fish powered by Mercury Outboards.
Now, live on KBTX, the Brazos Valley's news leader. This is News 3 at 10.
Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Clay Falls. Whitney Miller has the night off. Well, we start the evening with a heavy police presence in the Eastgate neighborhood of College Station. College Station and Texas A&M University police were patrolling street corners around Francis Drive and Foster Avenue. Scanner traffic indicated they were searching for an armed suspect. A UPD officer on the scene declined to comment on the situation. We have reached out to College Station police and are waiting to hear more details. And a program that gives children with developmental delays a head start on therapy has seen major funding cuts over the past couple of years. It's called Early Childhood Intervention, and because of those cuts, local provider Easter Seals East Texas says it's been financially forced to back out of the program. News 3's Kathleen Whitty has the story of one family who says their son's life was changed through the ECI program, and they hope others will continue to have that opportunity.
Our worlds were flipped upside down.
Almost 3 years ago, Ricardo Contreras, RJ, was born with clubfoot, his feet turned in. As his parents were coping with that, they noticed another issue.
It was a stressful moment for us. Just seeing him that he wasn't using one arm at all.
Doctors told them little RJ had suffered a pediatric stroke, now affecting the left side of his body. Between that and the clubfoot, RJ would need physical therapy, a lot of it, starting right away.
Problem that we ran into early was that our deductible at the time was $3,000. How am I going to help him financially get through this?
And then ECI came along.
ECI is Early Childhood Intervention. The program cut RJ's therapy costs 80%, and the family says changed the course of his life.
With RJ, he couldn't stand. They would put things on the couch and have him on the floor and really encourage him to try to pull up on his own. I remember, I can still see the day that he did it. It was like in that moment I knew he was so determined and he was gonna be fine.
A feeling and a service Ana Contreras doesn't want any other family to go without.
Set, go. Oh, that was so good. There's no other way around it. Without this early intervention, who knows how much more it's going to cost down the line.
In Bryan, Kathleen Whitty, News 3.
Families in this area who qualify for ECI will still be able to get these services even after Easter Seal East Texas doesn't offer them anymore. ECI is currently working to find another provider who will take up the contract for Brazos Valley kids in need. Well, turning to weather now, another beautiful day and mild temperatures, pretty cool out again for April, Mac.
It was very nice today, but it was a chilly start for a lot of folks. I saw folks wearing sweaters at church this morning. Yeah, it was a chilly start, but the afternoon wasn't too bad. But you know, on this day in history, back in 1990, Caldwell picked up over a foot of rainfall in a little over 10 hours. That's pretty wild, wild stuff there, over an inch per hour for 10 hours. That's a lot of rainfall for just one day. They actually picked up 13.5 inches total for the day. But, you know, it was cool this morning. We'll get back to kind of present day here. We've had some pretty crazy weather in April, and we can get it, but not going to see anything like that, at least tomorrow. Temperatures in the upper 40s to around 50 earlier this morning. This should be very similar setup tomorrow morning. You notice Centerville dropped down to 43 this morning. Not expecting any 30s or a frost tomorrow, but will be a chilly start once again.
Thank you very much, Mac. Well, this week will mark President Trump's 100th day in office, and he'll need to work with Congress to keep the government funded. Brooke Silva-Braga has more.
President Trump foreshadowed his next political fight with a tweet Sunday afternoon. The Democrats don't want money from budget going to border wall, despite the fact that it will stop drugs and gang members. Government funding runs out Saturday unless Congress, including some Democrats, can reach a deal. Mick Mulvaney is the White House budget director.
Will he sign a government funding bill that does not include funding for the border wall?
We don't know yet.
Democrats say funding the wall is a deal breaker.
The wall is, in my view, immoral, expensive, unwise.
With little leverage to force Democratic support, some Republicans suggested funding border security now while postponing the standoff over the actual wall.
I think that's a fight worth having and a conversation and a debate worth having for 2018, and if we can do some of that now, that'd be great. But we cannot shut down the government right now.
President Trump has listed other goals before his 100th day in office Saturday. He's working to revive health care legislation and roll out tax reform.
You can either have a small tax cut that's permanent or a large tax cut that is short term. I don't think we've decided yet, but you'll know more on Wednesday.
The president plans to mark his 100th day with a rally in Pennsylvania. Brooke Silva Braga for CBS News, New York.
Well, runners raced for a good cause on the Texas A&M campus this afternoon. Close to 75 people ran and walked at the Run with Purpose 5K. The event is to raise awareness for treating childhood cancer and increasing trials being done for pediatric cancer treatments. The group with Purpose is a relatively new organization on campus.
So this is our third Run with Purpose 5K. Our organization is called With Purpose. We raise money and awareness for childhood cancer research. So it's for an amazing cause, and we like to come out and have fun with fellow students and community members raising money for childhood cancer research. Like I said, it's our third time. Jamba Juice comes out every year, so we're proud to have that sponsor with us, as well as our others.
And this year's 5K winner was David Torkington of Keller. He finished in 17 minutes, 3 seconds. Well, more than 3,000 people attended the 33rd annual Wine and Roses event this weekend. Located at the Messina Hoff Estate in Bryan, the one-day festival celebrates the budding of the vines and the blooming of the roses. Guests this weekend were treated to music, wine tasting, food, local vendors and artisans, pairing classes, and the famous Grape Stomp competition. KBTX's Shel Winkley emceed the Grape Stomp competition, and News 3 employees Alex McLeod, Blakely Galbraith, and Carly Cassidy were on a team that participated in the event. The Wine and Rose Half Marathon and 5K race was also held this morning. This year's event is extra special because it marks the 40th anniversary of the winery that now has locations in Bryan, Fredericksburg, and Grapevine, Texas. A portion of the proceeds from this weekend's activities benefit the Brazos Valley Arts Council. Well, coming up, for more than 30 years, one local man has been volunteering his time at retirement communities. News 3's Noel Bello introduces you to Jefferson Award recipient Clifford Hunter. And fourth-ranked Aggie softball is doing what they do best. Cody will have more on their win later in sports.
And it was another cool one today, but our 90s and our future, I've got all the forecast details coming up.
Closed captioning on News 3 is presented by Atkinson Toyota.
Check us out anytime 24/7 on the web at atkinsontoyota.com.
News 3 weather from the Pinpoint Forecast team. Brought to you by the Bank and Trust. Local bank, local bankers. And now, local weather.
Well, this weekend was a breezy one. Those winds have actually finally calmed down, though. Our current conditions as of this hour are at 62 degrees, clear skies, and almost no wind. In fact, calm. I guess you could say out of the north, but, you know, the winds are very light right now compared to what they were for most of the weekend. And it actually doesn't feel too bad out there. Temperatures in the low 60s right now. Some spots in the mid-50s, though. 55 already in Madisonville, 54 in Crockett, 53 in Conroe, 62 in Hempstead, 58 in Brenham, and we're sitting at 55 in Hearn at this hour. Winds, like I said, got lots of goose eggs across the map, and the only place I see that has any wind is Belleville at 5 miles per hour. That's it. So finally seeing some quiet conditions around the area after a bit of a breezy weekend. Pleasant for your Monday. Those winds, like they are right now, should be fairly light. I don't think they'll be completely calm for tomorrow, but they will be a little bit less in the way of intense for Monday. But enjoy that light wind while it lasts, because it's not going to last very long. Our first crack at 90, perhaps by Wednesday. And we might have a quick little cold front on Wednesday into Thursday, and we have another shot at 90 perhaps by Friday. But for tonight, not too bad. 48 degrees, a bit of a cool night, clear skies, very light winds, even calm winds at times, but we'll start off with very little in the way of cloud cover tomorrow morning, and temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s, 50s further south, and mid to upper 30s further north across most of the central and northern parts of the Brazos Valley. But in general, a cool night. Our record low is in the low 40s for tomorrow morning. I don't think we'll quite get there, but it will be a cool start. And Monday starts off on the cool side, but we might make a nice quick rebound back to about 70 by lunchtime. We'll top out about 78 degrees in the afternoon with a good amount of sunshine across the Brazos Valley, something we've seen at least today, and we'll see it again tomorrow and even heading into Tuesday. Temperatures across the area, maybe some 80s, perhaps in Hearn, Hempstead, Brenham, maybe Conroe and Belleville, but for the most part, upper 70s for tomorrow. You see this orange kind of brown shade here we see on the upper level moisture map? That is a sign of some very dry air that kind of pushed through here. That frontal boundary didn't just bring dry and cooler conditions with it at the surface, it also had quite a potent upper level low move through with it, and that's brought some very dry air into the Gulf of Mexico, hence the reason we haven't had any clouds today, or we probably won't have any for at least tomorrow and through most of Tuesday before those clouds return. That southerly flow returns as our next system approaches from the west and gets that moisture to come back out of the Gulf of Mexico. And until then, it's going to start to get pretty warm pretty quickly. Probably topping around 90 by Wednesday, but then the next frontal boundary not too far away could spark off some showers and thunderstorms late Wednesday into early Thursday. Now, warmer temperatures Tuesday and Wednesday, but there's that quick shot of some cooler air. Temperatures for highs will still top out perhaps around the low 80s, but our morning will start off in the mid 50s on Thursday. And then by Friday, another chance at 90s, I think. Our first couple chances at 90 of the season, but get used to it. I know a lot of folks talking, it was chilly this weekend, Clay, but I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to wish for it to be this cool when we get to July.
I know. I'll especially like that drier air. I'll take that over humidity any day. If that can stick around, it would be nice, especially the summer, but it won't. Right?
It wasn't so dry that it was uncomfortable. It was just dry enough to kind of take that humidity out of the air and make it feel a little bit, less humid. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Thank you very much, Mac. Well, coming up next, we'll introduce you to a 95-year-old Clifford Hunter. For more than 30 years, he's been bringing smiles to patients in nursing homes. Plus, a 3D printed arm will help one young girl play the violin.
This week on BBTN, we're taking time to stop and smell so much more than just roses. We're welcoming the A&M Garden Club as they tell us all about its flower showcase.
Then we're moving through the rhythm. The Texas A&M Women's Chorus is letting us know what songs we can expect at their Music in Motion Spring Concert. We got a packed week ahead, and it all starts Monday at 5 a.m. on BBTN.
You're watching KBTX News 3. The people you know, the news you trust.
For more than 30 years, Clifford Hunter has been volunteering his time at local nursing homes. His dedication makes him a 2017 Jefferson Award recipient. News 3's Noel Bello has his story.
And now having him come to visit you here, what is that like for you?
Well, it makes my day.
When you have a heart like Clifford Hunter, you can't help but spread a little joy.
Hello. Christ, he says, you'll love one another, you'll help one another. You want some of this next week?
No, I'm fine.
I enjoy it, and I'm going to continue it as long as my physical condition will permit.
Every Sunday, you can find the 95-year-old walking the halls of local retirement communities,
Morning.
visiting members of his church.
The visitation program is just, you're trying to comfort people, and it's a very lonesome life up there.
Since 1981, Clifford has taken it upon himself to bring them that comfort.
Father, we ask that you remember. We take a bulletin from the church and a daily devotional for them to read. There's always a sense of appreciation from the people that you're in contact with.
But to understand why he's spending his retirement this way, you have to go back to the beginning.
The way that I came up in life, I lived during the Depression years when people had no money.
He says back then, if your neighbors needed help, everyone would jump at the chance to lend a hand.
I think it's a way of life. It's what you have cultivated, what you have enjoyed, that you're trying to pass on to somebody else.
He took that caring attitude to his pharmaceutical career, running Roman's Pharmacy in downtown Bryan from 1957 until the early 80s.
I enjoyed being a pharmacist.
Former customers turned lifelong friends say even when they couldn't afford their medication, Cliff would gladly set up a payment plan, making sure they didn't go without.
Because at that time, there was a pretty close relationship with all of your customers. It's not much that way in pharmacy today.
The business may have changed, but Clifford is still the same.
Well, have you had a good week?
Volunteering his time and energy to putting a smile on the faces of those who have no one else.
You want to feel like you're helping, and if you see that recognition and that smile and that they're glad, you know you have given them something that they want.
And the Jefferson Awards air on Thursday, the 27th.
Aggie softball, Aggie men's golf, and the Houston Rockets among the squads putting checks in the win column today, but not the desired result for the Aggie baseball team. Those stories and more coming up after the break.
Live Eye cameras on News 3 are powered by Norman G. Tractor. Nobody beats Norman G. Tractor. Sports is presented by Allen Honda, corner of Southwest Parkway and Highway 6. Allen's got your Honda. From the KBTX Sports Center, News 3 Sports starts now.
Incredibly disappointing finish to the weekend. Our inability to finish there in the 7th inning with the bases loaded and nobody out.
A good weekend for Aggie baseball, but not the finish that they wanted. Texas A&M came into this afternoon's series finale against Tennessee with the series already clinched. However, the Maroon and White were looking for more. Their second straight SEC series sweep. Things started off well enough for the Aggies. Sophomore starter Stephen Kolick was the reason for that. The sophomore from Shepherd tossed 7 complete while surrendering only a run on 2 walks and a career-high 11 strikeouts. And early on, his offense did him some favors. Bottom 2, Blake Kopetsky will plate home Hunter Coleman on the fielder's choice. Later in the frame, Austin Homan will use a little small ball to bring home Joel Davis as the Aggies open up a 2-0 advantage. After a volunteer run in the 4th, A&M would respond in the 5th on this Braden Shoemaker RBI single. It brings home Nick Chorby to give the Ags a 3-1 lead. A&M looking for insurance runs in the 7th. They had the bases loaded with no outs, but Zach Lingenfelter would retire the next 3 Aggie batters and get out of the jam. Then the next volunteer at bat, runners at 2nd and 3rd for Jordan Rogers, and he lines this offering down the left field line for a 2 RBI double. And that'll tie the ball game at 3. That would be our score for roughly the next 90 minutes. In the top of the 14th, when the Vols' Luke Lipsius goes opposite field to plate the go-ahead run to make it 4-3. Tennessee would add another score in the frame. They hang on to avoid the sweep 5-3 over Texas A&M.
We had our opportunities throughout the course of the day. From the 5th inning on, we went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position and didn't finish. So it's certainly disappointing, and to give it away there in the last inning with 4 walks and 1 hit, it's hard to swallow.
Obviously we want to win, but I felt good about my outing. It sucks to lose, but I got to flush it and be ready to come back tomorrow,
Aggies will play host to Texas A&M Corpus Christi Tuesday night at 6:30. Elsewhere in the league today, Auburn beats the Hogs 11-6 to win the series 2-1. Same for Kentucky with their 10-2 victory over LSU. And Ole Miss is 3 better than Mizzou to take 2 of 3 from the Tigers. Despite the loss today, the Aggies now tied for 4th in the West with LSU at 10-8 in SEC games. Mississippi State leads both Arkansas and Auburn by a game. Kentucky is tops in the East by 2 games over Florida. The Aggies play at 8-10 Missouri starting Friday night. Sam Houston State trying to avoid the 3-game sweep at Central Arkansas this afternoon. Cats trail 4-3 in the 6th, but go ahead here on Lance Miles' single up the middle. Both Bryce Johnson and Riley McKnight come in to score. It's 5-4 Sam Houston State, but the lead does not last. 5-0 in the 7th, and the Bears go ahead to stay when Justin McCarty lifts a sac fly to left. Hunter Strong trots home with the game winner. Central Arkansas takes it 7-5. The Bearcats have now lost 5 straight Southland Conference games after a 13-0 start. Major League Baseball this afternoon. Astros top the Rays 6-4 in 10 innings. Rangers beat the Royals 5-2 to complete a 4-game sweep. Aggie softball also looking for a sweep as they wrap up their series with Georgia this afternoon. No score in this one until the 4th inning when the Aggies get things going. With runners at the corners, Kristen Coyas flies one to left. It's enough to get Blake Ann Fritsch home for a 1-0 Texas A&M lead. Next batter, Ashley Walters, and she extends the lead with a single up the middle. Sarah Hudek scores from second. The Aggies go up by 2, and that's all they need as Lexi Smith goes the distance, getting a ground out to second to end it. The Aggies win 2-0 to complete the sweep and get win number 40 on the season. Great day for the Texas A&M at the SEC men's golf tournament. They beat Missouri in match play 5-0 in the quarterfinals. Then in the semis, they knock off Alabama 3-2. Cameron Champ seals it with a 3-up win over the Tide's Davis Riley. A&M will face Vanderbilt for the SEC championship tomorrow. The women's championship wrapped up today with the Aggies ending up tied for 4th with South Carolina at 4 under par. Florida is your SEC champ, 13 strokes better than Alabama. In Georgia, the Ags' Maddie Zarek finishes tied for 5th individually at 5 under par. After a 2-point loss Friday night, it's back to work for the Houston Rockets in Oklahoma City. James Harden and company hope to head home with a 3-1 series lead. Russell Westbrook doing all he can to help even the series for the Thunder. The OKC star has a triple-double in the first half. He ends up with 35 points, 14 rebounds, and 14 assists. Thunder up by 4 at the half, up by 4 after 3 quarters. But the Rockets rally in the 4th, up 2 with 5 minutes to go. James Harden finds Nene for the punch. He leads Houston with 28 points off the bench, and Harden would help seal it. The tough step-back jumper falls with under a minute to go. He scores 16. Rockets win at 113-109. They can wrap things up with the win in Houston, Game 5 on Tuesday night.
A lot of sports, so the Rockets got some revenge in the state tonight.
Only one more win, and they'll be on to the second round.
All right. Thank you very much, Cody.
You bet.
We'll have more right after the break, but first, a quick look outside from our Live Eye Network. A 10-year-old girl got a new beginning. She received a new 3D printed prosthetic arm. Isabella is a 5th grader who plays the violin in her school's strings program. She was born with an incomplete left arm. Her music teacher had made her a makeshift prosthetic arm out of PVC to hold her bow, and then called for help from the George Mason University Engineering Department. The pink, custom-made prosthetic arm will now allow her to hold her bow properly and even ride a bike.
That's pretty cool, but hey, you know what? Here, we're talking temperatures in the upper 70s tomorrow, 80s by Tuesday, and we might get our first crack at 90 by Wednesday. If we don't reach it then, we might have another shot at it on Friday. But the chance for some thunderstorms on Wednesday, I think mainly in the eastern parts of the Brazos Valley. And then Thursday, with a quick shot of some cooler air, and back at it again with some low 90s on Friday. I think the best chance for rain actually might come here by next Sunday. It's kind of iffy with the system right now. Most of it's staying further north at this point, but things can change in a hurry. It is April, and it is that kind of time of the year.
And it's Texas, so things are certain to change. We can bet on that. Thanks very much, Mac. Well, that's all of our time tonight. More local news tomorrow on Brazos Valley This Morning, or anytime on our web channel, KBTX.com.
KBTX News 3, your news source for over 60 years.